On June 24th, a massive earthquake shattered Venezuela. Initial estimates point to $37 billion in damage alone, with entire city blocks reduced to rubble. Just miles away, the industrial heart of the country keeps beating. Venezuela's massive production facilities continue to pump crude oil around the clock. Since January, the United States has collected an estimated $13 billion in Venezuelan oil revenue. Almost none of that wealth has reached the people digging through the wreckage. A shattered nation is generating billions of dollars a month, and those funds are vanishing into a system with no public ledger. To track these missing billions, we must look at the system the United States took over. For years, Venezuela's state-owned oil company, PDVSA, operated as a broken machine run on graft and deep-rooted corruption. Under Nicolas Maduro, the government stopped publishing official oil revenue figures entirely in 2016. To survive heavy international sanctions, his administration relied on selling discounted crude through black market channels. That systematic destruction of financial transparency created a dark market. When control of the oil changed hands, the infrastructure for zero accountability was already in place. On January 3rd, the United States military intervened. President Donald Trump later claimed that American forces ousted Maduro in just 48 minutes. In his place, Washington installed Vice President Delcy Rodriguez as the interim leader. She now governs while complying with narrow economic concessions dictated by the U.S. This dynamic was formalized by Executive Order 14373. It created a custodial system where the U.S. Treasury holds all Venezuelan government deposit funds. Washington now controls Caracas's primary economic engine, entirely bypassing congressional oversight. The politics are opaque, but the physical oil is not. Using freight data from Kepler and pricing estimates from Argus Media, we can track every crude shipment leaving Venezuelan ports. This map shows exports scaling up from 380,000 barrels a day in January to 1.1 million by April. 43% flows to the United States, followed by India at 26% and Spain at 8%. These shipments represent hard assets entering the global market. They prove definitively that massive wealth is being generated right now, which leaves the question of who exactly is processing the payments. To move this volume of oil, the administration relies on three specific commodity trading companies: Trafigura, Vital, and GE Warren. Both Trafigura and Vital carry a documented history of bribery schemes related to international oil sales, prompting warnings from organizations like the Council on Foreign Relations about their ongoing involvement. Testimony traces this cash flow. $300 million of oil revenue moved through a short-term offshore account in Qatar. Those funds then transferred into U.S. Treasury accounts, with no public accounting or safeguards to prevent money laundering. A corrupt state oil monopoly was dismantled, only to be replaced by a network of controversial middlemen and untraceable government accounts. The State Department insists that billions of dollars have been dispersed back into the Venezuelan economy to benefit the public, pointing to quarterly audits by KPMG that have yet to be released. At the same time, President Trump publicly boasted the United States recovered the cost of the military operation 28 times over through the oil, explicitly stating, "We're making a lot of money too." When cabinet officials claim the money is strictly for Venezuela, and the president claims it's turning a massive profit for America, the true custodian of that $13 billion becomes impossible to verify. Back on the ground in Caracas, the economic data tells a bleak story. Despite the surge in oil exports, official first-quarter growth hovered at 2.5%, the lowest rate in nearly 5 years. While a few private banks receive small weekly dollar infusions through auctions, these drops of liquidity are insufficient to address the $37 billion required just to clear the earthquake debris. The financial blockade also extends beyond oil. Interim President Rodriguez has been desperately lobbying to access $5 billion in special drawing rights at the International Monetary Fund, but U.S. pressure keeps those funds frozen. Meanwhile, lucrative mineral exports are moving out. Hundreds of millions of dollars in Venezuelan gold have been secured and sold to traders, with that export revenue funneling quietly into the same opaque treasury accounts. Washington now controls the daily oil receipts, alongside the nation's broader sovereign wealth, stripping the state of the capital required to rebuild its infrastructure. The Venezuelan opposition has laid out a clear path forward in their Panama Manifesto. They demand the release of over 400 political prisoners and the establishment of free elections in exchange for lasting sanctions relief. But Washington continues to issue temporary financial waivers in a policy vacuum, granting diplomatic recognition without forcing Rodriguez to make a single concrete democratic concession. The fate of that $13 billion remains hidden. Without basic transparency, the funds meant to rebuild a devastated nation risk simply entrenching a US-managed kleptocracy.
If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe to World Economy for more insightful content.